Hello and welcome to how I play my level 95 Shadow Knight, Shaman, Bard, Beast Lord, Mage, and Wizard in a multi-boxing group. I'm gonna go through some parsing here and show the different stuff. We're gonna go to a live zone and we're going to kill some stuff there, see what actual DPS is, not just what I get with my training dummy. And if you're interested in how I set up each individual class, there is a video on every single one of these classes that was released before this video. So let's kind of get everybody here. So I have my Shadow Knight, my Beast Lord, my Mage, my Shaman, my Wizard, and my Bard. So let's get everybody, see, hopefully they know the Bard doing her own thing, running in circles. All right, let's get her right here. And we're going to position everybody perfectly on this combat dummy. He's level 95, just to have them going. So go like that. And let's go ahead and position the Wizard. And where is he? Where's the Mage? Here's the Mage. Let's position them. They don't melee, but it's good to do. All right, so everybody's here. Get the Shaman back here so he's out of the way. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start this. I'm going to hit 4 first. That'll get the Shaman pet going and everything else there. And then I'm going to hit 5 from that point on. And that's all I'm going to do. That's all there is to it. I'm not going to burn or anything like that. It's just a normal what I can do with everybody. So I'm going to hit 4. I'm going to get the Bard singing, and there we go. So you can kind of see how it's stacking up. The Beast Lord was on top at first. Now the Shadow Knight is there. So we're about 88,000 DPS. We're going to do this for just a little bit. You can see the little DPS meter here. Now the Mage and the Wizard are on the bottom. I don't know why. I don't know why at all, but there we go. And looks like the pets are all getting round up. I will, when I open this up in the EQ log parser to show it, we'll see there. So how we at? We're at 49 seconds. Let's get it to like 60 seconds, and then we'll go from there. Just doing my rotations that I went over in every single one of the videos, and everything like that. You can see just how good everybody is doing. So looks like the Mage is climbing. I don't know why she has the monk icon, but I guess at one point in time, because it is a persona, so it can never let go. But the Wizard one went fine, so I don't know. There we go. That's 85 seconds. That's plenty. That is plenty. So we'll go ahead and stop and get everybody follow. Get them stopped. All right. Get these pets stopped here, just so that they're not continuing damaging that thing. And stop. And then we're going to do pet leader on these just to make sure that they're associated with the correct person. And those are just swarm pets, I believe, so that's fine. All right, so let's open up EQ log parser here, see if I can get it to drag over on top. There we go. So we're going to go with this last one here, combat dummy. So you can kind of see here, in that short period of time, looks to be 134 seconds total. The Beast Lord was top DPS this time in this fight at 23% of the total damage, 49,000 DPS, followed by the Mage. I think once I rolled her pet up into it, she got better. Now, let me fix that other pet real quick. I believe that's it's the Shadow Knight pet. Let's do leader on him. And bring back up EQ log parser. Now that should go away. I got a little extra damage there. But you can kind of see the DPS, how it flows right now. The Wizard, not so good compared to, you know, everybody else. So that's unfortunate. You know, it felt like he was going to be doing a lot more damage in all my testing beforehand. But he did have the highest, well, second highest max hit. So, you know, there is that. But it is, you know, it is what it is. So this isn't, you know, not a really good test. I don't feel like combat dummies are doing anything except for just letting you test your rotation. Now, because when we go and fight, we're going to see how fast mobs die. We're going to go to Shard's Landing and kind of take a look at that here in a second. But you can see Beast Lord just absolutely destroying everybody here. All right, so we're going to go to Shard's Landing because that is a level 95 to 100 zone, if I'm not mistaken. And we should be able to find some mobs that are not going to die super fast like they would in House of Thule, where we're currently questing. So we'll be right back when we are in Shard's Landing. All right, we're here in Shard's Landing. This is where like heroic 100 characters start. And at 95, I feel like this is going to be a good spot for us. Especially, you know, we got six characters. I don't think we're going to have too much issue here. I just want to make sure we get past some of this stuff without getting aggro. I conned a few things. These are yellow, so we're gonna do these things right here, these worm tooths, just picking them at random. But we kind of see there. Now you'll see over here, hopefully for most of these fights, we'll see the DPS pop up and how this actually works out for us. Alright, so these are all new mobs, so I'm going to have to just random all that stuff real quick. Now we'll just keep pulling these and kind of see. So Hobbs, you know, number 1, Stasi, the Beast Lord, number 2. 20's coming up. I actually figured out how to switch her to Mage while I was zoning. So you can kind of see that. So we got loot. Let's go ahead and just random that out. See, I'm going to grab this guy. And you can kind of see like where the DPS really falls and how long these fights are, right? These are not long fights. These are very short fights. And these are actually living longer than the stuff I fight in House of Thule. So it's definitely a little bit different, but these are still pretty easy. Like I'm not even really paying attention to anything. I'm just hitting my button, doing my multi-bind, and getting that going. So you can see here that the mage is starting to pick it up damage wise, and so that's working out really well. Wizard, he is still not performing very well at this point, but I feel like he'll start performing better later on, but we'll see. Now, as you can see, just destroying these mobs. Now, I didn't pick these. There's no Bane or anything. We have no benefit to killing any of these. I just know that no one ever kills these things, and I can come over here and do this, right? So now we got multiples. Now, this will be a nice little test here. I'm going to do an AoE taunt and probably pull more than I have right here. But you can see I'm just absolutely destroying these things without much effort. Now, I do have high-level buffs, so that is something to keep in mind, but I would assume anybody playing on live has high-level buffs. And that is just because of how easy it is to get high-level buffs, and I don't recommend doing it without, right? It makes my videos quicker, and so I'm not sitting here, you know, spam fighting these mobs for like 20 minutes. But, I mean, I'm still doing the majority of the damage here. Now, this mob is like doesn't want to fight me, so I'm gonna switch over here and do that. So that is the disclaimer. I did show like the difference between all the stuff and everything there, so something to keep in mind. But you know, the DPS doesn't really. The Hobbs DPS may be a little higher because he does have the damage shield and no one else is taking hits. But I don't really feel like that's going to be too much. Here, I'll actually be annoyed that autofollow like literally made them run in circles, going 2 feet. I'll click off Circle of the Embercoat, and we'll just have our our current level mage damage shield, which is the level 95 one. We'll do that as just to see, you know, how it changes a little bit here. And then after we kill a few more of these, we will move into looking at the data that we just collected. All right, she's back and ready. We just need to find a few more of these mobs to fight. Now they're all yellow, so that means they're a little bit higher level than us. We're at 96, so they're not too high. This is where you would start at 95, right? This is where you would like to go and kill some mobs here. These are not difficult mobs in any sense of the word, but you know, they are here, right? You would want to do this until level 100 in this expansion here, if you want. There we go. Let's see here. Still killing them relatively fast, right? Like, it's not a big deal. Now, the BARD actually went down in DPS, so that's interesting. And the wizard kind of went up. Let's see, because the mobs don't die fast, you know, they don't live long enough for like the dots, and she's mostly a dot class with her melee, and you know, BARD melee is not great, so. All right, just a few more. I would like to see a named, but I don't think we're gonna get that lucky today. Let me look real quick. What's the named over here called? Cragbeak? I don't see him. Banescale Serpent is up, so we might be able to go find that. That might be an easy name. Let me see where he spawns. He spawns like right over there, so let's go see if we can get him. I did see a higher level Shadow Knight like running around here, so he might be farming some of this stuff, so I don't know. Let's see if I can get everybody out to where we want to go. Just run over the hills. Like, nothing is gonna hurt us, I don't think. You know, obviously my boxes will probably get destroyed if they got hit, but it doesn't really matter. There it is right there. Perfect. All right, so there's a named. He's level 100. We're gonna try him. I don't think we'll do any burns. We're just gonna fight him like this. All right, you can kind of see he has his own DPS and how long this is gonna take to kill a level 100 named at 95. You can see we're not taking too much damage here. Didn't even do mantle or carapace. There we go. It's dead. We got some shoulders. That's nice. We got some bracer slot there. Perfect. All right, so you can see there 60,000 DPS on the Shadow Knight, 32,000 on everybody else, and I don't have the high level damage shield. I have whatever my BARD gives me, so you can kind of see like how powerful the Shadow Knight class is when you can kind of, you know, get all this stuff kind of set up the way you want it. Yeah, we'll pull one more snake and then we'll go do some analysis of this data. There we go. Oh, there we go. The wizard hit 100,000 DPS. Now 50,000. So he's very proc dependent, I would say. All right, I'm gonna take all these guys back to my guild hall, and we'll talk about the data here. Okay, so here we go. We have what is this? 20 mobs we killed. And we can kind of see here. So on this first mob we killed, the very first one, we had 98,000 DPS total, with the Shadow Knight being number 1 DPS. Now, there is some reasons for that, right? At this point, he had that extra damage shield still, and you know, that's going to give him a little bit more damage. But at the same time, he's the first to engage, so he's going to have that higher, you know, damage right off the bat. But you can see here then the Beast Lord at 19, the Mage at 18, and the Wizard at 17,000 on that mob. If we kind of take a look at this here, like hit wise, I believe this is going to be spells, right? So spells plus whatever else. So you can kind of see like in the 5 spells, I guess he cast. He, you know, did some damage, but not, you know, not a whole lot, right? Let's go to that named, and that one's going to be a little interesting, I think. Let's expand these out. All right, so it took us 20 seconds to kill that named. He had 3 million hit points, and we did 150,000 DPS. So this is one of the longer fights that I can imagine we would encounter. I had turned off that higher level damage shield at this point, and you can see here we still did 58,000 DPS. We did 1 million damage alone just on our Shadow Knight, with most of it coming from us. Now, if we do a breakdown on this damage here, so spell cast order, spell count, let's do spell cast. No, DPS breakdown selected, Shadow Knight. There we go. You can kind of see where our damage is coming from if we kind of break all this out. So the Hobbs, you know, being a Shadow Knight, most of his damage looks to be coming from his melee. Slashes, in fact. So I'm using a two-hander that gives me, you know, extra two-handed damage and stuff like that. So that's kind of, you know, that's kind of nice to know. My procs doing 7% of my damage and my direct damage. So my spells that I cast, which isn't a whole lot of spells, considering, is only 23,000 damage, or 2%. So most of my damage is coming from just me swinging my sword. And that sword is, you know, a group level sword. It's not a raid level sword, so it's, you know, nice to know there. And you can see here that the damage shield was only 1% of my damage, and that was coming from the damage shield from the mage, the level 95 mage. Now, if we go back to this fight here that we were just on, the very first one, and go to the DPS summary, and then we do DPS breakdown on the Shadow Knight here, we can see probably that the damage shield is significantly higher. Yeah, see here, it's 12% of my total damage. That really just takes out my slash damage, if anything. So if we take a look at this fight here, this last snake we killed, still the same kind of breakdown here, but the mage was a little less, but they're fairly close. Like the mage and the bard pretty close, and the beast lord and the wizard are towards the top here. And you can see like the wizard's getting a lot of crits. He's limited by how fast he can cast the spells, really. Whereas the beast lord has got the pet. Like let's take a look at the beast lord on that named fight, right? She was number 3, so she's a little bit lower on there, and you can see like the difference between the mage and the beast lord here. I think they just got, you know, better crits, right? So the average crit was 6,000, 5,800. She's got 175 hits, so she got a lot more damage in via the pets, right? So these the 20 swarm pets were doing, you know, way more than the beast lord swarm pets. Now that could just be because when we started the fight, her ability wasn't up yet, so that could be, you know, something to contribute to that. We didn't really wait very long, just however long it took us to run from point A to point B. But I chain cast that on the mage, so that spell is up a lot. But you can kind of see here the damage that comes directly from the mage was only 38,000, whereas it was 32,000 on the beast lord here. Now you can see if we look at the pet, right? The mage pet, which is a air pet, did 4,000 DPS, and the beast lord pet did 4,600 DPS. So they're really close, like DPS wise. And you could probably think of that being, you know, just some random chance that they, you know, one did more than the other. But it's kind of nice to see, right? You can kind of see where all this is breaking down group wise. Now, disappointing to me is that the wizard is so low. Like, I don't even consider the shaman. The shaman's not doing anything at all that I would consider damage. He has frozen gift and stuff like that, so I'm not really concerned about that. Now, the bard, again, I'm not concerned about the bard DPS because most of her damage, besides the insult, comes from chance, and so those have, you know, however many procs that are going to be, you know, popping on there, right? And we can kind of see this right here. If we look at the how the damage was working, right? So she only was able to cast 2 chance on the mob before it died. She got, let's see, how many procs did she get? She got 3 different procs on. Arcane Address, obviously being a significant ADPS benefit to her class, to her damage, right? At 27% of her damage being from that. Her melee damage, not that much. Like, at this point, bards are not doing a lot of melee damage. I honestly, until I hit 125 and I maxed out the AA on my other bard, the damage just wasn't there, right? It was nice damage, but she did not really excel and start to become like number 1, number 2 DPS, the bard, until I started maxing out a lot of these AAs that really help with the chant damage and all the other little abilities like Boastful Bellow and all that stuff. So things like that, we have ways to go before we are strong on some of these classes, but I feel like this is really, really good here. And let's take a look at the wizard here. Let's see what was he smoking. What was he smoking? So let's take this, take a look here. All right. So 10% of his damage came from the bard proc. So that's kind of sad right there. Thrice Woven Potential was his biggest nuke. Ethereal Blaze and Force of Will were his other ones. So what does that mean? That means he didn't A, cast the ice nuke at all, and B, he didn't do his sword proc spell. So, you know, like, you know, it wasn't a scientific, you know, let's wait 5 minutes for everything to be up kind of thing. He probably didn't even have twin cast up. We could probably even check to see if he had twin cast. See here, spell counts, wizard. Yeah, twin cast. He had twin cast up, I guess, maybe, but I'm not 100% sure. I can't verify that. But he did receive quick time. He did receive twin cast. Yeah, so there we go. We can notice that. He did receive that. So he did 1 concussion, 2 ethereal blast, 2 force of will, and 2. I don't know what that means. Let's say 2 thrice woven. So yeah, like, I mean, he did what he did. Maybe if the fight was a little longer, he might have pulled out a little bit more DPS on that. But you know, it is what it is. Now, if we take all these fights together and just take a look at overall for all of that time. So that was, you know, 204 seconds fighting, 24 million damage, 120 DPS. You can see here, like, the ranking: Shadow Knight, Mage, Beast Lord, Wizard, Bard, Shaman, right? Shaman, again, isn't doing a lot of damage because it's mostly just pet damage plus frozen gift. So don't care. The goal of the Shaman is to heal. Later on, maybe we can put a little bit more DPS out of there, but I'm not concerned. I'm surprised, honestly, that the Shadow Knight is doing 2 million more damage than the next person. Well, you know, let's just call it 2. Let's round it, right? Like, that's kind of crazy, in all honesty. He only has an average crit rate of 23%, whereas you take a look at the mage with an average crit rate of 30%. So that's pretty nice. So 700, like, let's say 700, 600,000 over the next one between the mage and the beast lord here. It's pretty crazy. With most of that damage coming from the pets. Holy shit. I guess that's a good thing right there. The swarm pet is doing more damage than the actual mage, whereas the beast lord swarm pet was not doing hardly anything at all. So there could be something there that we could take a look at, you know, deeper if we wanted to later on, as we get higher level and we have more information there. You can see the Nomergard's pet would be the swords that did hardly any damage, 128,000 total damage in all of those fights. So I'm assuming it only got shot off once, you know, during that whole thing. But yeah. So, I mean, and then between the mage and the wizard, it's almost 2 million damage. Like, that's insane. Like, I feel like this is kind of crazy. Results, right? So see, can we view this? How else can we view this? Can we graph it? I don't think we can graph it from in here. Yeah, but there we go. That's, you know, that's kind of how I play my characters, right? They all just auto follow, and you know, multi-bind through ISBoxer, activates all the abilities, right? So it's nothing fancy, nothing automated in any way. I feel like, you know, I'm doing decent damage, right? Those were level 95 mob, you know, 96, you know, plus mobs, right? That's a 95 to 100 zone. And I didn't feel like I was going to have any issue killing anything in that zone. I probably could have pulled more mobs. Had, you know, I was, you know, probably planned a little better. Like, you know, just pulled more stuff, right? The external damage shield really wasn't that much of a big deal. It's just a little bit extra damage. Then removing that and just using the standard the standard enchant mage one was just fine. Like I didn't see much there. So that's, you know, something to keep in mind. But yeah, the results here are kind of what I was expecting, right? I was expecting the Shadow Knight to be the top DPS in this event. All these, you know, killing all these mobs because he's first to engage, so he's getting, you know, more melee attacks on than anybody else because they don't engage until after the mob is in camp, and I'm ready for that first, you know, pressing a 4 or 5, right? And if we compare that here, like if we go back to this, where the bar, you know, everybody was in perfect position, everybody was good to go, and, you know, everybody was activating all their abilities to the best of their ability without having any positional issues. You know, the Beast Lord was on top, followed by the Shadow Knight, and then everybody else, right? So when it's that kind of thing, it's, you know, very interesting. I find this data to be very useful. The 35% crit chance on the Shaman is pretty interesting too. I guess he crit his frozen gift. Let me zoom in on here. Break down Shaman here, right? So if we take a look at this, obviously the healer damage never matters to me, but frozen gift here, 48,000 damage out of that, and a lot of his damage was coming from 69% of it was just coming from the proc from the bard, so it's kind of nice. The Shaman pet did 8,000 damage total. Like, that's nothing. I wasn't hitting 4 was the only time that the Shaman pet will activate. I don't really hit that one as much because it's not all the characters are bound to 4. So there we go. I think that's good enough data. If there's any other data you'd like to see in the level 100 video, please let me know, and I'll do the same thing, right? Like when we get to 100, we'll go probably to Empires of Kunark and go fight some level 103 mobs there to kind of like really show, right? I don't feel like fighting blue mobs is, you know, a good show of like this because they die so fast, right? If I went to House of Thule, we could probably see larger numbers, but like DPS numbers, but the mobs are dying so fast. Like I'm currently in the middle of doing the upper floor of House of Thule questing, and just the stuff is dying so fast. I have to wait for respawn just for things to spawn to do the quests. And it's a little frustrating because things are dying so fast. And in that next video we do, I'm gonna propose an offer. So we'll see how that goes. But I feel like this, you know, the content's really easy, especially with this group. So there we go. And you can see all my characters right here. So let's get right here. And there we go. So if you have any questions or comments, please let me know. Any suggestions for future videos like this or any other ones, let me know. And thank you very much for watching, and please have a fantastic day.